Stop conversation, 2+ hours NBA DFS coming off an awesome sports weekend. We saw the greatest NFL comeback of all time, 33-0. Shout out to Minnesota. We saw the greatest World Cup soccer final of all time. We saw the greatest debacle, the greatest way to lose ever all time in football with the shout out to the Patriots. I'm sure there's some other stuff I missed. Tasteful Tides, Tim, known for single entry, three-man conversations, three-man tournaments. We're going to be talking to tournaments as well, obviously, throughout this show. Cheese and wine specialist as well, if that the conversation happened to get deterred a little bit. Tim, how was your weekend? Did you watch the football? Like 3.7 billion people allegedly are watching. I should say football. Did you watch the Argentina versus they played against there was soccer this weekend. You're aware of this, yes?
Yes, I did. I did watch that. I watched the whole match, the whole game. I'm not really sure what it's called, but I did watch the whole event, and it was fantastic, and it was very, very exciting. That's got to be the greatest World Cup final of all time, I would assume. So
I believe so.
It was spectacular.
Yeah, they promised the studs. Messi and Mbappe both showed up 3-3. Some great emotional highs and lows, depending on who you want to root for or whatever. But it was pretty awesome. I ended up I had family in town, so ended up watching with. That's why I was not available for the football. I saw there were some allegations that I was just I just took off the football show on Sunday because I was watching. Then I had family obligations that I had to tend to, and happened to watch the game with them as well. We're a soccer family, but not worth getting into that. But and also the NFL was spectacular too. There's some great NFL games this weekend. Also, my fantasy football team. I know everybody wants to know my season-long fantasy football team. Everybody's excited about that. We got 2 teams. We're 2 for 2. We're moving on. Both teams have Jalen Hurts, and the news does not look good. It looks like Jalen Hurts is not going to play. Vegas knows things, and the line has moved like 5 now. And I don't know if that's changed because they basically locked everything up, right? Then the game against Dallas now means nothing essentially. But it looks like Jalen Hurts is not going to go. It's going to be Gardner Minshew season, I believe. Nothing official, but that's what the speculation is. And Vegas has already kind of adjusted. Anything else of note that you want to speak on as far as this weekend? We got a 9-gamer. Lots of body parts to get into. Many of them already been determined. Still some up for grabs. General thoughts. What's on your mind, Tim?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of news. Hopefully we get some of it on during this show because this is a big slate. And there's a lot of unknown pieces, and especially late night. This is going to be a tough slate to play the first games, right? You can get bits and pieces of it, but you definitely don't want to fill up too many roster spots too early today. I don't think, because there's going to be a ton of news in the later games.
It's a tricky thing, right? Because it's 9 games, and 7 of the 9 games start within the first hour, up to 8 o'clock, right? Then you have a 9 o'clock game with the Lakers versus Phoenix. I see so many in chat. Who did I just see was asking about it? Stan in chat was saying, is LeBron a lock? Well, no. He's a lock to not play. So don't play LeBron. He's not played a back-to-back in like over a month or so. Anthony Davis is out for like a month as well. So, this feels kind of sort of like a blowout potentially. Then
hopefully every question that we get will be as easy as that one.
Well, the tricky thing is that this is the front end of a back-to-back for Phoenix, and this is the back end of a back-to-back for the Lakers. And we don't know, like we know Booker's out, we know Campaign's out, we know Landell's out, Cam Johnson and Jay Crowder. But, DeAndre Ayton's a tricky one, right? And maybe, like, why would you push DeAndre Ayton? And I think he did practice today for what it's worth. But why would you push him when you're facing a Laker team that's just wounded and limping in? And even some of their guys that are playing, like Thomas Bryant, who, he's had coming back from serious leg injury. He played a bunch of minutes last night, and, like, we're projecting a lot for him. It just feels like the Suns should beat him. And, of course, Vegas is adjusting. Maybe Ayton is ready to go, but they just give him an extra day because they're playing tomorrow. It's kind of one of the thoughts I have. But, yeah, the Lakers are down to possibly 10. I think they're at 11 right now. Pat Bev is questionable. LeBron being out. Austin Reeves, he got beat up last night. He's not playing either. We're going to see Russ try to do his thing, but that certainly is going to dictate part of the slate. Then 10 o'clock, an hour after that, they have Charlotte and Sacramento. And that game is pretty well clarified. Like Sacramento's fully healthy, and Charlotte, it doesn't look like Terry Rozier is going to play. He's got a hip, so he's doubtful. And I believe, they played yesterday too. So that feels like another potential blowout. Sacramento, 10-point favorites. When was the last time Sacramento's been a 10-point favorite versus anybody? I don't know. But like for real, like I wonder when that's happened. I feel like that's been a long time. And that's our last two games, like as far as pivots as well. Any general thoughts before we're going to dive in? Like there's already stuff we're monitoring. A lot of news has already dropped. There's already plenty of value. I guess Rudy Gobert is a big one.
It's actually this Portland OKC game also for me. Like Nurkic is questionable, and if he doesn't go, Drew Eubanks is, I think, the best, like one of, if not the best value plays on the slate. So he's just like another guy that
he's
I want to make.
Yeah.
And I don't really have a feel of the Nurkic situation, whether he goes or not, but he's a lot easier to play on Fanduel at 4K because he's power forward center, but he's only center eligible on DK. So that's gonna kind of change things a little bit because we have obvious, Thomas Bryant chalk. We may have obvious Naz Reid chalk if Rudy Gobert is out. How does Drew Eubanks kind of fall between those three guys?
Center and center only. Yeah, I thought I might have
right. And you have these three really, really spectacular value plays that are center only. So that's kind of, you're gonna have to make sure you have plenty of spots open for those 8 o'clock window, I think. And I don't know if we're gonna have that. Like we're supposed to get it 90 minutes before.
Good luck.
Right, but that doesn't always happen. So that's just something to watch out for.
And the reporting typically isn't good in the back half of back-to-back as well, as far as the Lakers. Right. Like the access to the coaches is generally not as good too, I think. The Bryant one's tricky because I think he's one of the first guys that sits if this game gets ugly. And also, like you didn't mention Bismack Biyombo, who could become a thing if Ayton doesn't go. Or John Landale.
Right.
So yeah, all these things matter, and a lot of it's sort of guesswork. You mentioned Nurkic, by the way, midday downgrade. It dropped today, and he's got a cap.
Right.
And I don't know, like you said, you don't know, but if you were to force me to guess, my guess is he's not playing.
I would guess that too. And if that's the case, then he's an absolute lock on FanDuel. Because he's
talking about.
Yeah, Eubanks, because he's power forward center.
Yeah.
But then it becomes on DK, it's like an absolute value. It's like there's so much value at center. Like I don't even know where he would rank between all these guys. And like you mentioned, the Suns situation. So I mean, my guess is that he would rate out better than Jock and Biyombo because those guys kind of split minutes.
Yeah.
But you're right, though. That doesn't mean that they're bad plays. They're still in the conversation. I'm
seeing the Suns with just 10 bodies. And if Ayton doesn't go, they would just have 9, which is kind of interesting because even if this game got ugly, I'm just trying to think, like, if this game got ugly, like, still somebody's got to, like, we're looking at, like, Lee and Okogie and Wainwright and Saric. Somebody amongst, like, I guess Shamet might close, like, if the game got ugly. I'm just trying to figure, if Ayton was out, we would be down to 9, right? And say Phoenix blows them out. Does Shamet closes? It's not Chris Paul. It's not Bridges. It's not, well, it might be, no. Yeah, it's probably.
Wouldn't it be, do you think Shamet would close?
Well, wait a second. Did I miss? Is Landale out? Yeah, okay, so Landale's out also. That's what I missed.
Oh, yeah, okay. I didn't see that. All right, yeah.
He's got a head. He's got a concussion, so he's not available.
So, yeah, you're right. Biyombo would be like another – he would be smashed also.
I think Biyombo might be one of the best plays. And he's, of course, center and center only. But the other thing is – and, like, we saw this last week, and I really wish the news would have dropped earlier, but we saw the Okongwu versus Nas Reed decision, and I was hoping the Reed news would drop after 7 because I felt pretty confidently. Okongwu was playing at 7, and I felt pretty confidently that Reed, if the news breaks his way, is a better play than Okongwu. That's not like playing results. That's just math, right? Like that's just looking at the way those two guys play. And Nas Reed, some people probably like playing DFS for the first time this year. They learned how good Nas Reed can be when he gets some run. That dude is awesome. And again, if you watch him play, he's got the wildest shot. His jump shot, he doesn't jump. It's the strangest. He just sort of shot puts it. You ever see Nas Reed play basketball?
Oh yes, I've watched plenty of Nas Reed play basketball.
It's the flattest jump shot, but it works for him. He's a big that can also hit threes, but of course he bangs inside as well. There's a lot of things that are up in the air. Maybe we get some clarity as the show progresses, but that kind of speaks to again the slate where out the gate we have 2 games at 7:00. We have one 7:30 game and a pile of 8:00 games. And if we don't have news on the 9:00 stuff at 8:00, you will have some decision points. And, do you want to lock yourself into a decent situation that may or may not improve or could get worse or could get better and roll the dice? And I guess some of that can be depending upon how your lineups are going at the time. And 7:00, again, how many lineup spots do you want to lock in at 7? Just all these interesting decision points you have to deal with. But I guess we'll talk about that throughout the slate as we progress.
I'm going to jump in now because you guys have talked way too long. And what everyone wants to know is what is today's side game. Last week was Would You Rather? This week is movie trivia, as me and Dean argued for 10 minutes before the show. And I'm going to give you guys an easy question to start. In honor of Devin giving me the wrench on YouTube, the one true ring to rule them all.
Dodgeball's the answer.
Dodgeball's not the answer. Imagine hobbits playing dodgeball, though.
Oh, I thought it was like what movie? If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. But go ahead, never mind. I jumped the gun.
All right, easy one to start before I make this ridiculous. What country was Lord of the Rings filmed in?
New Zealand.
There you go. All right, so you got one. So you're up 1-0 on Tim.
Terrible movie. Terrible.
I knew that one. I didn't know if it was you and Dean or if I was in the game.
Oh no,
that's probably gonna be the one answer that I actually knew too. I should have just yelled it out.
I can't ask the questions and then just yell at the answer. It'd be like,
no. I mean, I thought it was just between you and Dean. I thought it was. I thought we were testing because Dean is he knows all about movies. So I thought you were testing him.
Oh, you guys will be tested. That was the warm-up question.
That was like the $200 question in Jeopardy. You feel good about yourself, and then
I'm not gonna know any of the other ones going down the board. Dean, you stole that one from me.
You guys are
Jeopardy, but Teen Jeopardy I can crush. Celebrity Jeopardy I'm pretty good at.
Toddler Jeopardy, great.
Oh man, Pikachu is what? I wouldn't. I don't. What color is Pikachu? Yellow? I think it's yellow, right?
Oh my god, Dan!
Dude, I don't know. We got STL Cards in the chat asking everyone's favorite holiday cookie. I need Dean's take on holiday cookies. Maybe we'll figure that out as the show progresses. We should dive in, get to it game by game. I just thought the overview was worth noting because Tim, there's a lot of pieces, going on as far as this slate. Anything else we should mention before we fully dive in? Stuff can fully change. This is the association. We're not even in the back half of the year. We're still in the front third, I believe. And, shenanigans are abound. Anybody in a back-to-back, I did make a note of this as far as teams. 2 teams in the front end, Utah and Phoenix. Back end, Orlando, Toronto, Minnesota, Lake Show, and Charlotte. Anything else that we're monitoring or a big one that we're monitoring that you want to, kind of highlight, or is it just going to come up organically as we talk?
SGA is still questionable. If he falls, then it becomes an all-out stars and scrubs slate, right? I mean,
I don't think that the scrubs for OKC are going to rise because there's a whole bunch of scrubs. Well, they might only be down to 9, right? That's true.
Yeah.
OKC's got a bunch of guys in the G Leagues and some guys hurt, so that's a good point. In my head, I think SGA is playing. He was a midday upgrade to questionable. I just assume he plays. So
it would definitely bring Isaiah Joe into the mix, though. Definitely though.
Yeah.
It would though. I know we don't want to play him, but he would rate out really well.
Yeah. How about Lindy Waters?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I just love the name Lindy Waters.
I know that is
Lindy Waters last year. He's just smashing like the last 5 games of the season when OKC was in full tank mode, playing 6 players. I think they had 6 guys playing like 40 plus minutes. Like I said, doesn't work math wise. But you know what I mean? They were insane the last 5 games of the year. Trey Mann is not in the team. He was sent to the G League. So that's another guy that they lost. In my head, the SGA is playing, and I like SGA. But like that's I guess I can't force that.
Yeah.
There's some cookies, by the way. What is a sand tart? Sand tart's the best cookie. What's a sand tart? Should I know what that is?
I don't know what that is.
I'm guessing that's like a sugar.
We can't use that kind of language on this show, Dean. Please refrain from saying that word again.
I don't know what that is. And according to SEO cards, peanut butter blossoms for the win. I'm aware of a peanut butter cookie. What is the blossom? What is that? How does that change things up? What is that? Is that an extra ingredient I'm not aware of? I don't know what a peanut butter blossom is.
I've never heard of that.
They're talking about the Karate Kid All Valley tournament in the chat too, which I don't know what we sparked, but I like it. All right, let's a Danish wedding cookie. Okay, yeah, that's contrarian. I'm not aware of it. Maybe we'll have to check it out. Very first game of the slate. Well, we have first blood revenge. Donovan Mitchell is taking on his old team there in Utah. 220 is the total. 7-point favorite. Cleveland at home versus the Jazz. As far as the body parts. Oh, no revenge for Sexton. Sexton's out. And, of course, Kelly Olynyk's out for Utah. Cleveland fully healthy with the exception of Dean Wade. Lamar Stevens not playing. Opens up, we're projecting Okoro to draw a start. Cleveland will play a really, really tight rotation. There's not much else as far as Cleveland bodies. So, and you're going to get, 39 minutes out of Donovan Mitchell as is. I think he does well. I don't know if he does well enough to lock him in here at 7 o'clock. It's sort of my quandary. But, bigs against Utah, we know how soft Utah is on the inside. Like both Mobley and Jared Allen should do their thing. But we've already kind of talked about how this slate could be peppered with really, really cheap centers. So I don't know what to do with these players. Like they're fine in theory in the Hoover, in the vacuum, but as far as building lineups, I don't know how they fit. You tell me, what are you doing with the Cavs?
Yeah, there's no way I'm playing Mobley or Allen as much as the matchup is good. I have no issue with getting to Mitchell or Garland. I don't mind it if we kind of one off a guard, a point guard, shooting guard spot just to start off. But I'm not going to get a lot of pieces of this game. So if you wanted to do a one-off Donovan Mitchell, I think that's okay. If this wasn't, I'm so scared of the narrative because I actually think this is a better spot for Garland. I would rather play Garland, but I also am a little bit nervous that he might just, play second fiddle to Mitchell and just let Mitchell do everything. Even though I think the math is it's better play for Garland. So I don't mind one of those two guys.
Utah does a really, really good job subduing threes. I believe they give up the fewest amount of made threes per game to opponents. And I think Mitchell hits almost 3 or 4 per game. But I'm not going to run away and not play him for that reason. I think he's fine. I just don't know if I'm going to play him because he's not going to be in my first lineup. If I'm making 15, 10, or 20, maybe, sure. And he's also one of those guys that's traditionally you need him to score 35 or 40 points, right? Actual points in the bucket points.
Yeah. It's really not that good of a spot for Mitchell. It's just purely the narrative. I do think it's a pretty good spot for Garland though.
But again, do you envision yourself playing Garland in your first 2 or 3 lineups? Probably not.
Probably not. But I think you could consider it. I really do.
Let's see. Ownership wise, as far as this game, we are getting 7.8K on DK is pretty good, right? A pretty fair price, 18% ownership. So we're seeing Jetty Osman on Cleveland getting 27 minutes and a 20 fantasy point projection at 3.1K. That's one. I just can't. I feel like something's going to come up better than that. I think the only argument for him might be that he's small forward, which could be helpful. But
I still think by the end of the night that a value like Osman's going to be borderline useless.
That's where I'm at too. What does he put up? What's Jetty Osman's ceiling? Maybe 30 if everything goes his way. Maybe. And that's useful, I guess. Yeah, 30 at 3.1K. Of course, that's useful, but it just feels like there's other stuff on layaway that's just gonna get better. As far as the Utah side, theoretically, we should have some value with the absence of not just Sexton, but Kelly Olynyk.
I had interest in Walker Kessler, but this is a really bad matchup, and there's no way I'm using a center spot. So
Yes.
I'm not. I have no interest. I would X these guys right out, even in a 150 setting.
We have Walker Kessler and Vanderbilt being projected to start. What I thought was interesting about that, let me just double check. Because if I go court IQ, I don't think these guys have played together all season long.
I'm sure it's a very small sample.
Well, I'm saying I don't think Kessler and Vanderbilt have been on the court at all together. I could be wrong on that.
Right. No, I bet if they have at all, it's very, very little.
1.5 minutes. So
yeah.
Maybe, I mean, look, it's just a guess. And we'll have the starting lineup at some point, but my guess is this probably isn't it. But also, Cleveland has, some big boys over there. With
I was going to say, I think we're just kind of trying to project that they match the size of Cleveland.
Yeah. Who else could it be? I guess they could have Markkanen jump up to the 4 and they can play Beasley. That's something they can start Beasley. That's something they can do. But they are also thin with the absence of Sexton. All that said, I don't really want to pick on Cleveland's defense. I think they're the number 1 defense in all basketball. If not number 1, they're number 2. Them in Milwaukee are 1-1-2 kind of all season long. I still don't like anybody in Utah, really. I think you make a good point about Kessler. But there's so many other centers. Just not this night. It's just
it's not the night for him. It's too bad too, because I at first I was like, oh wow, maybe I could play him, but no, I'm not gonna touch it. Even if I was going more than 20 lineups, I would X him right out.
He might actually be kind of good. I don't know. I don't know how much Jazz you watch, but he's still really young.
Oh yeah, I think he is pretty good.
Yeah,
it's just a horrible matchup, and it's even worse slate to roster him.
Let's see. Why do teams hate Bull? The teams hate Bull? That's what Eric's asking. Well, he was cut from a lot of teams. I guess Denver didn't give him much of a chance. Maybe that's the.
I think Denver's coach didn't like him or something, or there was some friction between the two or something like that. But I don't know why that was.
He got very little opportunity there. I'm pretty sure my Miami Heat drafted Bull and then instantly traded him. On draft night, if I'm not mistaken. He didn't. I can't remember. It was traded to Dallas or something like that. Maybe I think he was traded to Denver on draft night, if I'm not mistaken. His minutes are down for Orlando. I guess that's what he's kind of speculated on. He's a lot of fun, and I hope he continues to improve. We got anything else here as far as Utah and Cleveland? Doesn't feel like there's anything we're stressing. No. Just kind of keeping an eye on stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Toronto and Philadelphia. 220 is the total.
All right. First movie question. Category is horror.
Your category.
What movie was considered so scary that the movie workers had to keep smelling salts on hand for people that were passing out?
Huh.
Now, do you guys want some time? And after you go over this game, I'll come back for your answers.
They had to keep smelling salts on hand?
They had to keep smelling salts on hand.
Interesting. That feels like something that would happen many years ago. So it didn't happen in the 21st century.
Interesting take.
So I feel like that's something that wouldn't even fly per regulations these days. So I'm going to say it's something like the 70s. Let's go with The Exorcist.
Tim, do you have any guesses?
The original American Psycho.
Oh my God. When you said the original, I was like, he's going to get it. No, it is the original Phantom of the Opera from 1925.
Yeah, see, I was on with the regulations.
Yes. So that is the first one. So
I thought it was going to be a Hitchcock movie.
Yeah. We're going long.
Anything flies on a Hitchcock set.
All right. So these are the kind of questions you're going to be getting. So I hope you guys are ready.
Well, this is your area of specialty, horror. I didn't request the category of horror. I didn't call horror for 600.
All right. Well, that's what happens when you're the producer. You get to do these things.
I see the chat's playing along too. Just took a peek there. Some people in the chat had Exorcist or Poltergeist, not the Blair Witch Project. The greatest dollar for dollar movie of all time, I think, is the Blair Witch Project. It was an adult film too, maybe top 5. I think Debbie Does Dallas. Somebody else says that. Dollar for dollar, as far as money invested, money earned. Those are both like top 5 on the Family Feud board as far as getting your worth. Blair Witch and Debbie Does Dallas. Can't remember the rest of that board, but all right, let's move on. Fun little trivia question for the people. Toronto versus Philadelphia. Toronto has OG Anunoby questionable with the hip. My guess is he doesn't play because didn't they originally say he was out for a week? Gary Trent's got that quad. He's questionable. Philadelphia, we're expecting to get Tobias Harris, was kind of a late scratch last game. Korkmaz was ill, questionable, not a big deal. He barely is in the rotation anyway. And, if you want to just say screw it as far as the big the value plays at center, you can just spend all the way up on Joel Embiid. You can spend all the way up on Pascal Siakam. I assume you're playing Pascal. You're going to play him with a power forward spot. Just makes more sense. The big spends in this game look fine to me. Harden as well. But, if I have one or two, I'll probably have 2 big spends tonight. Am I going to have one of them in this game? What do you think, Tim?
I just love the ownership on Harden. He's going to be like 3% owned on FanDuel, 8% owned on DK. So I'm all about that for GPPs. I think you could maybe not double the field, but get a little overweight in your portfolios. Like maybe if you're doing a 20 max, you could put them in 1. You'd be overweight. So it's just maybe 1 or 2 of Harden just for ownership. But that would be about it. I think the Anthony Melton Melton's really impressed me this year. I think he'd be an okay play. He's getting quite a bit of ownership over on FanDuel. Currently, he's at 27% owned that we have him at. So that seems a little high, but I think he's a decent play. So I wouldn't be totally against getting the Melton. I would like to play Joel Embiid, but I doubt honestly that I can get there. Toronto's been really bad defensively, but I don't think this is going to be like a massive stealing spot for Embiid.
And they'll be even worse with the OG, obviously, if he doesn't go. And nothing official there, but I think I'm leaning out. Are you leaning out on OG as well?
I don't really have much of a feel for it. Like when a player and a game doesn't interest me, regardless of his status, I don't pay much attention. If that makes sense, this isn't really going to move the needle for me. But I understand what you're saying. He was supposed to be out longer than this, so it doesn't really make sense for him to come back.
Yeah, remember they said not that long ago he's out for at least a week, right?
Right.
Unless Mr. Miyagi did his magic or something. I don't know what's going on. He's got some quick healing powers, or they just kind of misdiagnosed him from the starts. I feel pretty strong that OG's not going to go.
That if OG does go, it would be kind of a downgrade for Harden, and that might be why we have him projected for so low owned, because we have OG projected in right now. OG is a tremendous, really good defensive player, so that would kind of change the dynamic of this game.
Trying to think other expensive guards and just kind of Pete, you're going to be spending up SGA. If Murray doesn't go, Trae Young gets really interesting. LaMelo Ball is really jumping off the page.
Yeah,
that's the one I'm a little bit hesitant about because that game could get goofy. They're on the back half of a back-to-back. He just came back from injury. If they are getting thrashed by Sacramento, which is a story that can happen, and Vegas is suggesting that's on the table, I can see him playing 27 minutes. I'm a little hesitant of that one. In theory, I like it, but I think that's one that I'm willing to fade if we're looking at 27% ownership on Ball. I know I'm jumping ahead. I'm just kind of looking at that position.
Yeah, no, it's important. It's important to do that for sure.
I think he's one of the guys that I'm ready to push back on. And then the other one, and we'll get into all this, but Westbrook is 7-3 on DK. And if the Lakers stay close tonight, it's probably because Westbrook is, doing his potential triple-double out there. He's having a good time. And he's priced on DK is much more appealing than it is on FanDuel. I think he's 8K on FanDuel, 7-3 on DK. I'm just kind of looking at, and Jalen Green's another one. I'm just thinking the guys that we could comparative.
Did you say that you don't like Ball at that high of ownership?
Yeah, that's kind of the point. I mean, I like him in the idea. If you tell me I'm going to get 33, 34 minutes of Ball against Sacramento, I'm in. I just think it's the back half of a back-to-back, and maybe if things get squirrely, if Charlotte starts falling behind, which it's certainly possible. They're not a great team, and we talked about the Kings being a 10-point favorite. I don't know how much they push them in the back half. And again, just came back from injury. And also Charlotte probably would love more ping pong balls if they can get them. And Sacramento is like desperate to be the 8th seed in the West. They really want to lose in the first round and have no chance in Wembanyama. But I just think that I like ball, and I don't know why I jumped ahead, but I think he's one of those guys that I'm willing to fade for those reasons.
Yeah.
Anything else? And if OG is ruled out, you think anybody rises here in Toronto?
No, it's just I think it's just an upgrade for Harden and Melton, but it's not anything slate altering.
I've seen like Juancho Hernan Gomez might get a bump and Boucher might get a bump, but I don't know if their bump is big enough to acknowledge. We did see Malachi Flynn play 37 minutes over the weekend.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you can't assume that's going to happen again, but I thought that was interesting. That was of note against Golden State. Would they start Malachi Flynn if OJ doesn't go? I'm not sure.
I don't think in this matchup.
Yeah,
I feel like it would be Juancho, but maybe not.
So you think Juancho's interesting?
Man, I had a good team on Fanduel last night, and I played Juancho, and that crushed me.
I didn't play last night. What happened? What did I miss?
I don't know. I mean, he didn't miss much. I don't know what he did. He didn't do a whole lot. Played 23 minutes and put up 9 fantasy points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bo Cruz let you down. That's
right.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Anything else of note as far as this game, Toronto, Philadelphia, or shall we move on?
I think we should move on.
All right, let's keep it going. We have Orlando. Orlando at Atlanta. Orlando, same guys that have been out for a while are still out. No Suggs, no Harris, no Okeke, no Wendell Carter. It did say Carter might be coming back Friday. I feel like I saw that. Not today, so it doesn't matter. Atlanta getting healthier. DeJounte Murray officially questionable. John Collins back, first game in 8 games or so. So he'll jump back in the starting lineup. We're projecting Bogdanović to come off the bench right now for what it's worth. Capella is still out. Okongwu, been massively disappointing. Should still have his minutes pretty secure here against Orlando, but he's been bad. His usage is bad. He's not, progressed from where he was last year. We're assuming Murray's in. So with Murray being in, there's really not a lot to get excited about. Okongwu is one of those centers, but for me, he's probably not on the podium. If stuff cracks certain ways, like Collins is better. Bismack is better. If guys are ruled out, Naz Reid is better. If Gobert doesn't go, I'm not locking in Okongwu, long story short.
I'd like to, because I think it's a really good spot. I think he burned a lot of people his last time out. He's so affordable on FanDuel. I would like to roster him again, but it's just not. I don't think it's really an optimal strategy tonight. There's really nobody. Assuming Murray's in, if he gets ruled out, then I think you can go right back to Trae Young, and this game becomes a lot more interesting. Because Murray, he's a great offensive player, but he's such a good defensive player too. So it really kind of hurts the matchups of some of these Orlando players. So if he gets ruled out, it really does change the dynamic of this game quite a bit. I would have interest in. All right, so OG is a game time decision, so that didn't help us. That didn't help at all.
Trent is out.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if you saw
I think we had him out.
Yeah, and then SGA listed available to play. We got that one right, and Korkmaz is out, but that's not a big deal.
No,
okay. A minute here, a minute there for somebody else, but it doesn't really. Nobody really benefits,
right?
Tremendously, or it's of note. Pulling up the ownership stuff as far as Orlando and Atlanta. Ben Caro, by the way, he's awesome. I like him a good bit.
I love him on DK. He's very 7-7 for him on DK. He's a little bit tougher of an ask at 8-4 on FanDuel, but 7-7 on DK I think is a really fair price, and I think the matchup is pretty darn good for him. The Magic are what have they won 7 games in a row?
Yeah.
It's been impressive. I'm not saying that they're going to be a good team or anything, but Markelle Fultz has been, I really like Fultz. I'm glad that he's back healthy at least. I kind of missed the window on him. I think he's priced too high now, but I do like Banchero quite a bit.
6 wins in a row for the Magic. We were given 29 minutes to Fultz. It is the back half of a back-to-back, and Fultz, dealing with injuries. I don't know how much they're going to push him, right? But yeah, we're giving him 29. We're giving Cole Anthony 27. They cross over a little bit. Banchero getting 35. Bull we're giving 23 to. Yeah, somebody before was asking about Bull. You got to see what you have in Admiral Schofield, I guess. Got to give him 13 minutes. You can't just let him sit in the bench the whole game. Wagner's kind of priced where he should be. I guess he's fine, right? Like Franz Wagner's like a last man in, I guess.
Well, for me, that's a big dependence on Murray.
Okay.
Like, if he'd be a good play if Murray was out, but I don't want him, guarding, Wagner all game. Murray guarding Wagner all game. That'd be a horrible matchup for him. So that really depends for me on Murray's status.
Yeah, you mentioned the Kungwu, and it's a good math play, right? He's 5.2K on DK. We're giving him 29 fantasy points, which is fine. But again, if we don't know about Nas, and if we don't know about the Phoenix situation, and if we don't know about the Portland situation, I'm willing to bet like at least one of those opens up. And if at least one of those opens up, they're all better than a Kungwu in my brain.
But if we get Gobert starting, say, and then you know what I mean?
It's risk reward, man.
It's right, but I mean it's only a half-hour difference, so we're probably going to know that. But like you talked about, is the whole Phoenix Suns situation too, and Eubanks. So we might not know all that stuff. Because I think Okongwu is a really, really good, strong play. He got in foul trouble last time out, and he burned everybody.
He's handsy, yeah. And his usage stinks. Like, what can he? He can like block like 5 or 6 shots and get like 12 rebounds and some dunks, but like, is he really going to just blow up the slate? I don't think so.
No, but I think he would end up being a good points per dollar play, especially on FanDuel. But he's probably not going to be a good enough points per dollar play.
And only one center on FanDuel too. Like one center only. Yeah. He's 5.2 on DK. What is he on FanDuel?
5.2.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. I would just. I mean, look.
We haven't projected for 30% owned right now.
Yeah, but you know how fragile that is. Like that's.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying the math agrees with it. Like he is a good play on FanDuel.
Oh yeah, the math at
he's projected for 30 points.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I just think the math, at 540, he's a great play. I think he can only go one way though.
Yes,
it's not up.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's my issue. And if we're talking tournaments, we're shooting for the top. I think I'm willing to roll the dice.
Yeah, I agree.
That's kind of where I'm at, and I'm hopeful that Phoenix is just thinking like, hey, we don't need Ayton this game against the Lakers and whoever is wearing those jerseys, those fraudulent. It's not really the Lakers, right? It's air quotes. And then Bismack will do his thing. He would smash in this match. He's 3-9. And hopefully that news doesn't drop until what time's this game? 7:30. It might drop at exactly 7:30. You never know.
Right.
Yeah.
He's a good player to keep an eye on, though, because you might get the news where there is no value center, and then that's your backup guy, right? That's your fallback. If we get the news, don't forget about him. Just don't forget about him if we don't get all the center value stuff.
I'm trying to think who else. It could be somebody else. I'm sure that. We didn't talk about it, but Valanciunas with the absence of Nance, like we might actually see Jonas Valanciunas like close a game.
I think we have projected for 25 minutes. Is that still what we have projected for?
That seems a little bit low. That's
20. Okay. I think it was 25 or 26 when I looked earlier.
Okay, I'm not on the projection team. They get things right.
Well, I'm not either. I was just looking at our projections page, and that's what it said. I think it was 25 or 26, unless they've updated it.
All right. I still think he's like a fine play. If I have to settle on Valanciunas, whatever. Anything else here? Or moving on.
We can move on.
Sounds like it's time for another movie question.
All right. I got to redeem myself. What's the category this time of movies I've never seen?
So I need you to tell me what the first movie to ever get a PG-13 rating was. Bonus question. Hold on. Bonus question: if you can tell me what movie caused the PG-13 rating to be made.
I'm 99% sure it's Jaws.
Okay, Tim.
I have no idea.
Come on, Tim. You got this.
Is it not Jaws? Hold on. I do know this answer.
It's not Jaws. You lose.
Oh, it's right around that time.
I don't know.
The correct answer is Red Dawn.
I never would have got that.
No.
Now, what movie caused the PG-13 rating to be made?
What movie caused it?
Yeah, so there was such an outrage about this movie because it was rated PG, and parents were like, there was too much going on here. My kids are going to grow up to be serial killers or something now.
Well, it is weird because they had it was either there was one bucket or another bucket. And there's no middle bucket. You need like a Goldilocks bucket. There were some weird movies in the PG that you wouldn't be PG today.
So it's clearly an 80s movie. I'll give you 5 more seconds.
Is it for profanity, drug use, or sex?
No, none of that, really. I guess more so violence.
Violence.
Shock value.
The Exorcist.
Correct answer. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom was the right one. So parents were so outraged by that PG-13 was created.
Man, all right. I thought it was Jaws. Are you certain? Did you Bing that or Google that question? Which source did you use?
I used Screen Rant as my source on that one, which is all about movies.
I want a second source, if you don't mind.
It was not Jaws.
Did you ask Jeeves? Is Jeeves still available?
Yes, I used some Google Maps. Some MapQuest. Found my way to Jeeves' house and asked him.
All right, let's move on, man. The chat's playing along in there. I think somebody had it. Who had Indiana Jones? Michael had Indiana Jones, and Chris had it as well. Temple of Doom. There you go. Put it together. Gremlins, according to Matthew, it's Gremlins. Which Gizmo? You know the 3 rules, Tim, as far as with Gremlins, how you're supposed to treat them and care for them?
I do not.
Rob, I'm turning it on you. Do you know? You know, right?
Yeah, you can't feed them after midnight, which is the first already a problem because time zones. What are we doing? Like, you can't get them wet.
It's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other one. There's a third one. Can't get them wet.
They wouldn't be able to do this show if you have a proper setup.
Is it electricity?
No.
Because I remember there was like an electric one in the second one, the second Gremlins.
I think one of the guys gets shocked or something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember the third one.
I think it was the main villain. They don't like bright lights.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
So I have one staring at me right now. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about. Well, we're gonna redeem ourselves. We'll do better later on in the show. Dallas, I did want to turn it on you because you can't. It's a lot easier when you just ask the questions. You know the answers. Next game on the docket, it's Dallas versus Minnesota. We don't know. So, Stripe, was that his name? Stripe? It wasn't Spike. My bad. Herbert saying it was Stripe. That sounds like it's correct. It's been a long time since I've seen the Gremlins. Dallas, all those fake injuries, they're back. At least some of them are back. Luka's back with his fake quad. Well, I guess maybe he was dealing with something. Who knows? Dinwiddie is back as well. We're not certain as far as Dwight Powell. We're not certain as far as THJ. Maxi Kleber is out for a while. Minnesota, some guys are back as well. Cat, of course, out for a while. Gobert, we don't know. That's a big one because Naz Reid would give it a go. Naz Reid got hurt last game, did not finish. He's expected to be good to go tonight. He's probable. If Gobert doesn't go, Naz would step in the starting lineup and be pretty awesome. And then there's D'Angelo Russell, who was back tonight. So another shooter, somebody taking some usage there. If Minnesota's fully healthy, if Gobert is good to go, the matchup against Dallas is not. They just play really slow. I think their defense is taking a hit for what it's worth, but they're still pretty slow as far as possessions. I guess we should start with that, Tim. If Gobert is in, are we loving anybody in Minnesota?
Not really. It's not a matchup that we want to go after. Russell and Edwards kind of eat into each other's usage. Slow-mo, there's no need for him. He's getting a little priced up. I think if anybody, it would be Gobert if we didn't get any center value, but there's going to be, I'm assuming, a lot of center value. So I really have no interest in this. than this Minnesota team.
Yeah, highest projected ownership as far as this game right now is Luka Doncic on the other side. He's 12.5K. You got to pay for him. There is some value out there to make it work if you want to. That's not the first route I'm going. Christian Wood, we've seen him shine of late. The absence of Kleber has certainly helped him. The minutes have been astronomical. But 43 minutes last game versus Cleveland. He played 29 versus Portland. I think, was that game a blowout versus Portland? He smashed in those 29 minutes for what it's worth. He was awesome out there. In the previous game against Cleveland, he played 35 minutes as well. The price has since adjusted. He was 6K on DK not too long ago. Now, 7.9. Now, what they did give you, which they didn't give you a couple days ago, is now he's got power forward eligibility, which makes him in play. If he was 7.9 in center only, it's really tricky. But now he's power forward / center. Same deal on Fanduel, 7.5 there, 7.9 on DK. How do you feel about Wood, and how do you feel about Luka? Are you going to be going out of your way to pay for Luka? I think that's more of a FanDuel thing.
I love Luka tonight. I hope that we get some news that I can play Luka on both sites. I mean, that ownership is very, very small, and Minnesota plays at the third fastest pace in the NBA. So, I mean, this is, a pretty massive pace up spot. I mean, anything is for Dallas, but I mean, this one especially is a really big pace up spot for them. So, and Minnesota's only, I think, middle of the road in defensive rating. I think they rank 15th in defensive rating. So they're not some defensive juggernaut either.
They'll be worse without Gobert. The rim protector wouldn't be there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if Gobert sits, then I think I would say Luka's borderline a must play on FanDuel. And then someday I still want to get to on DK if I can, if I don't have to sacrifice too much. There might not be enough value. I'm not sure yet.
I was looking at post up points. Like I saw players post up points. So you don't see post up nearly as much as you used to, obviously. But it was like all centers and like in Luka. Like Luka gets a lot of points via posting up players. I don't know if he would post up Gobert. I thought it was interesting and of note. As far as defensive rating this season, Minnesota, like you said, they're middle of the road. They're 15th. I didn't run it, but I would imagine, just using my brain, and you suggest the same thing. Gobert, the lack of a rim protector, their defense would go down. Nas is more of an offensive guy. His defense, is not special. Nothing we're afraid of necessarily. As far as the pace, that's the tricky part, right? The Dallas plays at the second slowest pace in the league, but you did mention Minnesota plays pretty fast. So Luka looks pretty appealing. I don't know if I can get there in DK, but I'd like to. Is like kind of what you're suggesting. On FanDuel, he's cheaper, and it's just, I think it's easier to make work. You're more likely to play him there. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, you can't get to Luka yet, but I wouldn't be shocked if you can get to him later. You know what I mean? Like what we have now, we can't get to him, but it wouldn't be shocking if we can, get some news.
Okoro is going to draw the start tonight for Cleveland. DeJounte Murray and John Collins game time decision. I thought I saw Collins was like in, but okay, they're now game time decision. Jay Large in chat saying no Reed no matter what, ! I'm guessing Jay played him yesterday, but he didn't play him last week because, if Gobert doesn't play,
he got hurt. He had like 16 DraftKings points in like 12 minutes or something like that yesterday. Like he was on his way to crushing before he got hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you want from the guy. He got hurt, then now he's not hurt, so you just play him.
Right.
That's where I'm at on it. Did you give a thought as far as Wood? If you did, I missed it. I apologize.
He's all right. You're absolutely right that him getting power forward eligibility is completely different. So I wouldn't mind, at least on FanDuel, getting Luka, Wood and Reed if we get him. You know what I mean? As like part of like a game stack. It's only a 4.5 point spread. This game should be a pretty good game. So I think that's completely fine.
Breaks in chat saying it's disrespectful to start Okoro over LeVert. I think it's smart because you got LeVert for the second unit. Why would you burn LeVert's useless next to Mitchell and Garland and that's not where you want LeVert. You want him to be the guy that can run the second unit when Mitchell and Garland are out.
Yeah, like LeVert's usage on the second unit is like way higher than when he starts alongside Garland and Mitchell.
Yeah, like Okoro is a great guy to start alongside.
Okoro does nothing. Like he's at least for at least for our purposes.
Correct. We're very focused on like one thing and one thing only.
Right.
But Luka and Wood, like you talk about like that little game stack, Luka 37% usage, Wood 27% usage. Like you just get all the shots basically, right?
Right.
Dimity, of course, is going to take some at Hardaway, but otherwise they have guys like DFS and Powell and Bullock that just don't do anything. They're just little complimentary players, play some defense, but things that we don't care about in our world. Like Edwards, it's hard. Edwards takes a hit with Russell being back. Can you play Edwards? Sure. Is he somebody I'm going to like focus on? No. And you mentioned Slow-Mo Anderson. The price has gone up and the situation's gotten a little bit worse. The matchup's not great. Slow matchup here against Dallas. So it's mostly Naz Reid if Gobert is out or bust. That's Minnesota. Yes?
Yes.
All right. Let's move on. Portland, the Blazers are in OKC. We got the note earlier that SGA is going to be available. He's going to be good to go. They are without some players, though, for what it's worth. Giddey is not feeling well. He's out. He ate with Darius Baisley. They went to the same restaurant. They're both ill. They're both not playing. Trey Mann sent down to the G League. JRE is still hurt also. So we just have 10 OKC bodies, which is rare. They just seem to tend to have like always guys just come out of nowhere that played 19, 27 minutes or something like that. They're playing against Portland. Portland, we are speculating, or I was speculating, I think Nurkic is going to sit. We'll see. Midday downgrade to questionable with his calf. If he doesn't go, the assumption here is that Drew Eubanks would jump in the starting lineup and take on, if it's Poku, that's a positive matchup. Really, OKC in general, positive matchup when it comes to centers.
Nurkic ruled out.
There it is. We're 2 for 2 so far as predicting these things.
Yeah.
Wish it came out earlier, but does that make Eubanks just like, again, I don't want to say a lock because there's a lot of good cheap centers potentially. We're waiting on more news.
He's definitely a lock on FanDuel.
He's a forward there, right?
Power forward center, yeah. And he's 4K. So I'd say he's pretty close to the lock button.
How many minutes are we going to give him? Do we have a projection for this? I wonder if we have an if-then.
We didn't have one up earlier, but maybe we do now.
I'm just throwing out 28 for no particular reason. And if it's, let's say it's 28, just for funsies. On the season, Eubanks, 0.9 FanDuel point per minute guy, 0.84 on DK. He's 3-3 on DK. Again, he's center only. So, like, if he puts up like 22 points, that's probably not good. Some nights usable. Tonight, I don't think 22 points is what I want, but I think he's getting more than 22 points.
Right.
Right now he's probably is he the clubhouse leader as far as dollar for dollar plays? We're waiting on news, but as it stands, 555 on the East Coast. Is Eubanks the best dollar for dollar play on DK?
It's gonna be close with him and Bryant. I don't know. What do we have Bryant for, like 7.5x?
I'm firing up the old lineup HQ right now. I'm going to points per dollar, and we have Bryant at 8.3x, which is
on DK.
32 minutes, which I think there's a little bit of fragility to those minutes. He played 32 minutes last night. This is a guy that had a season injury. I think it was an ACL. He was out for a long time, over a year. If this game gets in any way goofy, and he's got a direct backup in Jones, he can get in foul trouble. I think that's the higher end of minutes projection. I'm not saying that Bryant's not a good play, right? I just think that 32 is a little high as like a median minutes projection.
I guess what we'd have to determine is like what the projection team says regarding Eubanks and Watford. Right, it would be one of those two guys, and kind of how they split the minutes up between those two. And that I'm not, I'm not on the projection team. So it's going to kind of depend on how they split up those minutes.
I feel like they played Winslow at the 5 at a pinch, and you probably can do that against OKC because they can. This game can just get small really quick.
Yep.
Just thinking out loud. But I was just thinking, like, do you chop the 48 minutes, right? With Eubanks. and Watford some way. But I think Eubanks is like, again, the projection team, trust them. They're putting more thought into it. They're digging into it right now. But my head, like 28 to 32 minutes, and or maybe 28 to 30. That sounds about reasonable.
It's definitely going to be between 20 and 30. But there's a big difference between 22 and 29. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I think 28. I think 28 is like a starting point for me as far as a projection.
Oh, for Eubanks?
I think. Is that wrong?
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possible at all. So if you're going to give him 28 minutes, I would say he's probably going to pop pretty darn close to Bryant.
Also, a revenge game for Jeremy Grant if he goes. Worth noting, yes, the chat mentioned he is currently questionable as well. Do we get anything on him or no? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we've seen him get loose on some occasions. Typically, I think it's when Lillard's not around, right? I feel like that's when it's not around, when it doesn't happen.
Right, yeah. It's still gonna be Lillard, still gonna be Lillard's show, so it kind of really hurts Grant and Simons and Hart,
Is Lillard gonna be in the old torture chamber?
Probably, right? I mean, that's who Dort should guard, I would think.
I would guess so.
It would certainly hurt Lillard, but I mean, Lillard has such an explosive ceiling because he can just hit, threes after threes after threes, and this game's a really good game. And
side note, nobody's playing him. Just like Lillard's gonna be less than.
Yeah, I know. I mean, like super low owned. I have no issue with Lillard in tournaments.
You can make a little game stack. You can play Lillard with Eubanks and run it back with SGA and like one of Poku maybe if you want to play. Who's the other guy? Omoruyi?
Yeah, or Jalen Williams.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to figure out their minutes, right? Because OKC's going to probably play a bunch of guys like in the mid-20s. Outside of Dort 31, we're giving SGA 35. Love SGA in this game. I love him. One of my favorite.
It's tough because I just really want to play Luka. So it's hard to just figure out if I want to go Luka, if I really want to like make that stand with Luka, or if I want to play SGA.
I mean, it's a different salary, obviously, but you think it's worth. Like, where do you think if you had to make a lineup right now, you think you're starting? If you had to start with one or the other, Luka or SGA, where do you think you'd start?
Right now it would be Luka.
Yeah,
that could change in the next hour easily. That could change after lock.
Yes. Yeah, this is an 8:00 game. There's a lot of 8:00 games. Trying to pull up and see if there's any other news breaking. No, just Miami Heat stuff. Miami Heat doing their thing.
I get so many Miami Heat notifications throughout the day. It's always the Heat saying something about somebody.
Yeah, I'm a Heat fan, and I'm so annoyed. I find them annoying, so I can't imagine that people already don't like them or are indifferent about them. Yeah, they are super annoying when it comes to their reporting of injuries. Do you have a preference amongst these guys? Williams. I should mention too. There's Jalen Williams. There's Kenrich Williams. I don't really. Omoruyi, we're projecting for 22 minutes, but I think that can go up theoretically. Decent, I think he's a pretty good fantasy minute guy, like 0.88 on DK. Kenrich at 0.75. It's joking about Lindy Waters. Like I just can't imagine playing Lindy Waters in this slate. I just wanted to give a shout out. I just wanted to say the name Lindy Waters. If you can ever work that in the conversation, on a given day.
I think I would take advantage of this Oklahoma City Thunder kind of situation. If you're making multiple teams, use that to your advantage by kind of just using them as mix and match pieces. Some of these cheap guys. But I don't really have strong conviction on one of them because, like you said, they really spread out their minutes. But it would not shock me at all if one of these kind of cheaper Oklahoma City pieces are on the optimal winning lineups.
Yeah, and somebody in the chat mentioned Poku. It's nice you have power forward eligibility. Yeah, that is
nice.
I think he starts. Usually, like they don't want to start him against a center that's just going to absolutely annihilate him, which I don't.
Yeah,
think
like Nurkic was going to annihilate him.
Yes,
you know.
Bam
But
was going to
now-
annihilate him, and they didn't
Right.
start Bam again. Yeah, they let him sit out
Right.
against Bam,
But
basically.
but now it's different. It's a different story. So I'd assume that he's going to start.
I think he starts. Yeah, and he's in the pool of plays. Hey, yeah, hit the like button if I haven't asked or begged or mentioned it. I haven't propped. Bad job by me hosting, but yeah, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. Crunch Time crew is coming in about 20, 25 minutes or so. We got the Fanduel sponsor, Crunch Time. Fanduel lets you guys get Crunch Time for free this year. You got Andy Means. He's gonna if you're playing cash games tonight, especially, he will essentially like build a cash game lineup for you if you're paying attention. Not literally, but pay attention, and he'll make it work for you. You got Andre coming in with his hot takes when it comes to tournaments as well. Roth will be hosting that show, answering all your questions first in the Discord and then in the YouTube. If you guys haven't any YouTube questions, by all means, fire them off. I'll do my best to get to them, especially if they're pertinent to the conversation, the flow of the game by game. Anything else of note here, or shall we move on?
I think we could move on.
All right. Milwaukee, New Orleans, 228. This is a fun one. Potential NBA Finals, maybe, if you want to like close your eyes, and it's possible. 228 is the total here. Milwaukee is a 1-point favorite in New Orleans. We have a Drew Holiday revenge game, I suppose. Sure, if you want to call it that. No Middleton. Middleton's out yet again. Otherwise, everybody's healthy. Oh, you know who's supposed to be available tonight for Milwaukee? Jingle and Joe. Apparently, Jingle and Joe.
Oh, I love Joe Ingles.
Supposedly, like one of the best smack talkers in the league. I don't know. The Aussie accent probably helps. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I've heard him mic'd up before. He seems pretty fun. He's like 34, though. I don't know if he's even playing or if he's useful. Just thought it was of note that Ingles is available. Not officially out, but Nance is doubtful. Brandon Ingram's got a toe, so he cannot. He's got 10, but one really, really hurts, so he cannot play basketball tonight. You want to spend up for Luka. I want to spend up for SGA, but like, why not spend up for Giannis? Why not spend up for Zion? We do a little more of a salary cap. What are we doing here? Because great players, obviously. Are we prioritizing Zion? Are we prioritizing Giannis?
I don't think this is a very good spot for Zion, just because, it's the Bucks are so good defensively. They're so good at protecting the rim because they have Giannis. So I wouldn't really have that many shares of Zion. Like, obviously he's a tremendous talent, but the salary has, really come up on him on both sites, and he really has to, I think, kind of outperform for him to have a GPP winning score at the salary. So I would be, I really think I would X him out, to be honest with you. I just don't think this is that good a spot for him.
X him out of like 5 lineups or like 20 lineups? 20 lineups would get a pinch. I
think I'd X him out of 20.
All right.
But yeah, obviously I could be wrong about that. But I think if I'm, in a 20 max setting, I think I'd X him right out. But your boy Valanciunas sitting there at 5.1 and 5.4.
We're giving him 26 minutes, and even at 26 minutes, which I think there's a world where he plays like 28 to 30. I think that's possible.
Yeah.
Even at 26 minutes, he's like a pretty good math play. The problem is, it's a pretty good math play, and I'm not sure if a pretty good math play is good enough on this slate, right? Because we already talked about it a billion times. We already have Collins, who's going to be an awesome center on DK at 3-3. I don't think our projection team is adjusted just yet, but spoiler alert, he is going to pop. And there's several that are on layaway that may.
You mean Eubanks, right?
Who did I say?
Collins.
Oh yeah. You see how I made that mistake?
I did. Yeah.
What about the rest of the guys on New Orleans? Giannis, we're getting 5% ownership, and again, I think there's a sort of a push pull. Like if value plays start popping up, then Giannis's ownership would of course go up because he's one of the guys where now I have money. Giannis is very good at basketball, so now he's going to be more popular. But this is where we're at as of right now. But this is like
all I can say is what I'm going to do is that if I get infinite, salary, if I get tons of value, I'm going to Luka. So I'm prioritizing Luka over Giannis. Obviously that being said, Giannis is a MVP caliber basketball player, and If I'm playing 20 lineups, I am definitely getting a pinch of Giannis. Regardless, he's not an X out play like I would with Zion, but it's not Giannis. I feel like no matter how things fall, it's not gonna be a priority play for me today.
Man, I mean, I'm not fighting over it, but I think I go Giannis first over Luka, and that might be because I just like some of the guards. I mean, it's weird because I talk about how much I like Ball, but how much I'm also willing to fade Ball. I really like SGA. I think Chris Paul is obviously well positioned, but how much would he have to be pushed? And we'll have that conversation like with the Lakers, and maybe that's one of those where you set up rules, right? Like if you're running a couple Lakers, then you all of a sudden say, okay, I'm going to play Chris Paul. If you're running 0 Lakers, and also Phoenix only has 9 or 10 guys tonight, depending on if Ayton plays.
Right.
But Paul's like one of the first guys that rest, but he's also a guy that can just smash in 32 minutes.
He can put up 50 in 30 minutes.
Yeah, without Booker, who he scored so many points the other night, he hurt his groin. I don't know. I don't know if that was the post-game celebration. I don't know when it happened, but he hurt his groin at some point. But, 57, I think he put up over the weekend. Just amazing. Long story short, as far as Milwaukee, New Orleans, it seems like a game that's more fun than, to watch than it is to roster players just because salary is a thing. But, of course Zion's great. Of course Giannis is great, but there's probably better options. And Holiday's playable too, but, is he a priority? Probably not. Is that fair? Is that a good summary?
Yeah, that's definitely fair. I mean, he's had some really good ceiling games this year, and I know that they'll be without Middleton, but his price has really kind of gotten away from us, I think. And I see no reason to play him.
Another 8:00 game, San Antonio versus Houston, right? San Antonio versus Houston. Big body Kelton Johnson, he's questionable with his back. We have Josh Richardson also out. We have Pirtle, I believe he's still on that minutes limit, right? I think he's still in that 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Houston's basically fully healthy. No Garrison Matthews, not a big deal. Jayshawn Tate, we haven't seen him for a while. He's out for a while. Theoretically, this should be, a great DFS matchup, right? We should love this. San Antonio and Houston, two teams that, play, defense optional. Kind of a low total, if you ask me. 227.5 seems kind of low for these teams. Maybe that's just me. But I don't have a clear cut this guy is awesome. I think Jalen Green's probably the best play in this game. Would you agree with that assessment? Where are you at as far as San Antonio, Houston?
Yeah, when I first opened up the slate, I was like, "Oh, this is going to be the game of the day." This is going to be so juicy for DFS purposes, and it's such a good game stack. And I was surprised when I opened up projections. They project decently, but not as good as I thought they were going to. Jalen Green is definitely my preferred play. And also, I think it's worth noting how these guys are priced in this game. It's very much like a balanced build type build that you get to if you play these guys. It's not what I would consider a stars and scrub type build. So if you get pieces of this game, that's naturally going to probably get you a more contrarian way of building. Because you got all these guys in the 6s and the 7s. So I think it's definitely a good game stack, definitely a good tournament plays all throughout this game.
But then the other question is I love Şengün, but again, I hate to keep repeating myself, but it doesn't seem like the night where you play Şengün. What does he have to do to make himself relevant on this center slate?
You're not playing Şengün.
Yeah,
there's no way. I'd rather take a shot on Jabari Smith, that power forward.
Yeah. Somebody in chat's asking about Juancho Hernangomez. We don't know if he's starting or not. He may. We'll see. But even if we're projecting 23 minutes out of him, and he's a 0.65 fantasy point minute player, it doesn't really seem very necessary in the slate. He has his moments, I suppose, but I don't think Juancho Hernangomez is viable in this slate. First 15, 20 lineups. Do you?
I don't. I agree with you. I don't think he's worth it.
Maybe if OG is ruled out, then all of a sudden, possibly he might play 28 minutes. But I think I'd rather take my chances on a guy like Boucher. As much as, I think Boucher could be interesting.
So Eubanks is right next to Thomas Bryant in terms of point per dollar.
Okay, we updated our projections.
Yeah, now Eubanks is number 1 on FanDuel. So I was pretty close to being correct. Like I would definitely lock button Eubanks on FanDuel.
Yeah, and
But I mean,
3-3
it's
on DK.
it becomes it's still a question on DK though, because there could be other value centers that we want to play.
Let me
Or
ask
you
you
could-
this. Let me ask.
Yeah.
Let's say we have all the news. Let's say we have the news. We have Eubanks starting, projected for what I guess 28 minutes. What are you projecting him for? 28
For
minutes.
who?
Yeah, Eubanks, 28 minutes.
Yeah.
I just won both showdowns. Nailed it. We're projecting him for 28 minutes. Let's say we have Eubanks, which we do. Let's say Gobert's not playing, and let's say that Ayton's not playing. Let's say we somehow all have all these news, right?
Yeah.
You're playing 2 of those 3 at center, most likely. I think. Yes.
Yes.
Which 2 of those 3 you playing?
Well, isn't it 2 out of 4 now? Because you said Naz and Biyombo and Eubanks and Bryant.
Oh, I forgot about Bryant.
Yeah.
Man.
So
Nobody's going to play any expensive set. And then what if Embiid puts up a Jokic like night where he just says
right? So the same thing happened on our show last night with when I was on with TJ. Like the same kind of Bryant Naz chop thing. We were like play Jokic in tournaments.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be so much ownership on Bryant and Reed, and of course, pretty sure that would have been a good strategy because I think Jokic had like an amazing game and Reed got hurt. So it's the same idea. Like if you pay up at center today, you're going to be off the board because there could be 4 centers on DK that are just going to be absolutely pop. And I honestly, I think the most important question is how do you power rank those 4, assuming that if Gobert sits, if Ayton sits, like how do you separate those?
You can't make any plans tonight, like basically. Or
right? Oh yeah, definitely. This is a bad night to make plans. Bad night to make plans.
I see breaks in chat saying John Collins is out. That is not the case. I don't see that anywhere. No, he's game time decision and more likely than not playing for what it's worth. It was reported by I think Woj said he's fixing to play. So I think he's playing tonight. We'll see, but he's not out. It may change where he's out, but as of right now, he's not considered to be out. He's more likely in than out. We've talked about this game like kind of in passing several times. Lakers, Phoenix, 227.5 is a total. Phoenix, 12-point favorite. Lake Show without LeBron, without Davis. Again, this is an hour after. This is 9 o'clock. So, news flow is condensing. Pat Bev is questionable also. He's got a calf. If he doesn't play, they're down to 10. Amongst those 10 are people named Scottie Pippen, Max Christie, Wyan Gabriel, who I think would be the direct backup to Bryant. He plays the 4 and the 5. Jones is the direct backup to Bryant.
Jones would be the backup, yeah.
I think Demolition Man Dennis Schroeder is really interesting because, you don't have to ask him twice to shoot. Of course, like Russ is going to run the show once he's in. I assume he doesn't start. We're not projecting him to start, but he still can come off the bench and play 30 minutes. Like once he's in, he's in. And then Phoenix is also without Booker, and they're without Campaign, and they're without Jock Landale and Cam Johnson and Jay Crowder. And we're projecting star of the day, one of the best value plays was Landry Shamet, right? And he's still there. He's still fine. And Chris Paul should smash because of all that usage from Booker. And they're down to 9 or 10, depending on Ayton. If Ayton doesn't go, I love Bismack Biyombo, especially because 1 and 3, however, depending on how you have a Biyombo versus Lando as far as their centers, he's last center standing. I guess Dario Saric can mop up at center if they need be. But there should be a lot of goodness in this game, but also Phoenix can be up by 20 at the half. How do we dissect this?
I like Schroeder on DK. He's a little bit too pricey for me on FanDuel. He's 5.1 over there, but I like your call for him on DK. Lonnie Walker gives me a lot of interest, but I think that he would end up being one of those guys that ends up sitting. I think I'm going to play Russell Westbrook tonight. I haven't
on FanDuel too, or just DK.
Just on DK. He's probably too pricey on FanDuel.
8-3 FanDuel, 7-3 DK.
Yeah, so it's tough because if this game stays close, like even within like 10 to like 14, let's say, Westbrook should easily pay off that salary on DK, like no problem. But he'll be the first to sit out and get ejected or whatever. You know what I mean? Like if this game gets out of hand. So right now, I think I'm going to have him in, but I'd be happy to, because I also see I'm much more bullish than you on LaMelo Ball.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to frame myself as not being bullish on Ball, but I just think that game can get skittish. That's probably the right adjective.
Right.
Slowly,
I'm just worried that this game gets skittish too.
Yeah.
So it's tough. Like I'm kind of like not sure what I want to do in that kind of 7.5 8K range for point guard. It's such a loaded kind of. See, it's nice because I don't know, like it's just tough because there's so many guys like right in that same spot.
If this game gets ugly, right? Not to cut you off, if this game gets ugly, the Lakers have 5 guys. They could close with Pippen, Christie, Gabriel, Nunn, and like Brown, and you're getting nothing from Walker or Schroeder. Right. So I'm thinking Phoenix, they're down to 10, possibly 9. Like Okogie seems pretty safe. If you want to put, he's a guy that he would mop up and he would get minutes as is. But what's Josh Okogie's ceiling?
He was really popping earlier in projections, and I was like, oh boy, But I think I don't think he's going to end up being like a really strong play by the end of this.
And I really like Bismack. And again, getting the Phoenix Suns head, and I think Ayton practiced today, so generally I would lean he's playing. But if they're playing tomorrow night and they're playing against a Laker team that's like, demoralized and, it's there's Lakers in like name and jersey only, maybe give Ayton another day.
Let me ask you this, Dean. If say Gobert sits, this is for DK only. Gobert sits and Ayton sits. How do you rank those 4 centers?
So like Collins probably isn't my favorite, right? Like I Collins is fine, but I just hope he puts up like 27 at 3K. Nas can put up 45. He's 4'7", but like he can put up like 45. They're not projecting 45, but he'll put up like. And also Russell being back takes some usage away from him too. But he also kind of just gets his, like he's always around the basket, putting stuff back in. Misses and gets his own shot. Does that a lot too, it seems, just from watching him. I think, and Bismack being in 3.9, I think Bismack is ahead of Collins for me. Oh, Eubanks. So am I still doing it? I'm still doing it.
Yeah, you keep saying Collins.
Please, why do I keep wanting to call him? Yes, Eubanks. My bad.
Gobert is out.
Okay, so yeah. All the pieces.
I'm glad that we talked. So I think Reed's number 1.
I think so.
This is DK only. I think Reed's number 1, and then it's gonna be. So let's say Ayton's out too. Then I would put Biyombo as 2.
But here's the thing: you're not gonna know the Ayton news at 8 o'clock. I don't think. Well, you may 8 o'clock.
You might.
Eubanks at 8 o'clock. Yeah, but then what if? I think Bismack's a better play at 3.9 than Eubanks at 3.3.
Say that again?
Downgraded too, by the way. He's questionable, which is never a good sign.
Right? Yeah, Slow-mo's questionable.
Do you agree that if we get the news that Bismack is a better play than Eubanks? Eubanks is obviously a good play at 3.3, but I think Bismack's a little bit better, and he can get a cheap double-double and some blocks.
I think Bismack's a better play than Eubanks.
Yeah.
And
I'm not here saying.
Just keep in mind, we're only talking about DraftKings. Eubanks, I think, is a lock on fan.
And we're talking about it, of course, under the assumption that Ayton's out, which we don't know.
Right.
I saw something in chat, and then the crunch time crew's coming in. I just thought that was important to talk about. That they're coming in a few minutes, and they'll talk about whatever he missed. But Charlotte, Sacramento, Charlotte's in the back half of back-to-back. They're 10-point dogs here. We do like Ball, like he's a really strong play. Potential blowout. Rozier is doubtful, not officially out, but I assume he's not going to go. Sacramento fully healthy team. You got a revenge game from Malik Monk unlayable if you're into that kind of thing. It's on layaway. If you're into that, Fox is fine. Somebody was asking about Sabonis, and I advocated for Sabonis a couple of days ago in a similar situation, not this degree, but like when all the centers were popping the cheap ones. I don't know how I get to Sabonis on this slate, but like he should theoretically smash this Charlotte front line. I know he's not Jokic. We saw what Jokic did to this team. Insanity. But Sabonis has to put up like a 65, right, to be useful at 9-6, which he can do. I don't know what to do with this game. Is like Sabonis just he's at the wrong position. So how do you play him?
Well, he's in play on FanDuel because he's power forward eligible.
Yes.
So he's a fantastic play. I think I rated him number 1 on my consensus value rankings. FanDuel.
I may have as well.
And I think I hope that's what I did anyway. Oh, D'Angelo Russell now is a game time decision.
Oh boy.
So I really think this slate starts at 8:00 for what it's worth. I really do.
Spent all that time talking about the Raptors.
Well, we kind of had a feeling this was going to happen, but I kind of said how I would consider maybe a one-off of some of those Cavs, but now I don't think so.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tricky. Your favorite play? Well, you said you like Ball. Give me the pitch on Ball. Like the Ball is he's just a little bit too cheap for a guy that's without Rozier.
The only reservation I have is that it's a back-to-back, right? If this wasn't a back-to-back, I would say this is a slam dunk play. I see no reason other than that to fade him. I think this is just such a good spot. Rozier is out. So I think this is going to be this should be a really, really good LaMelo Ball spot. Now, is it better than Chris Paul? In that same price range? That's a different question, because Paul, if that game stays close, Chris Paul should keep right up with LaMelo Ball. And of course, somehow the Kings are 10-point favorites. So this game might be a blowout also.
You ready for this, by the way? I think if our chat is correct, I just want to confirm. It looks like they're saying Naz Reid is a game time decision. Where is that? No, I don't see that. Did somebody making stuff up?
Last I saw is Reid is probable.
Okay, I don't see him being game time.
But I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think he's in. Last I saw, he's probable. Nance officially ruled out. Russell game time. Gobert out. Anderson questionable. Woof. Our
Dean
are falling off. What's up, Andy?
What's up, Dean?
What's going on, Andy?
I was listening to you guys. I wanted to throw into my 2 cents on the Timberwolves.
Please.
You guys are scaring everybody by thinking game time decision is a status. Game time decision is not a status. D'Angelo Russell is probable. Like if a coach gets asked, is D'Angelo Russell going to play? Oh, we'll see. He's a game time decision. Like they just love saying that. So I don't want everyone to be freaking out that D'Angelo Russell's not going to play, because you guys correctly, like you said, Naz Reid's probable. So is D'Angelo. So I feel like, and that's where the Naz Reid thing came up. For all we know, the coach said the same thing. Like, oh yeah, Naz and D'Angelo, they're going to be game time decisions tonight. They just
let me ask you this, Andy. How are you ranking? How are you ranking the 3 value centers? And then how would you rank Biyombo if Ayton sat?
Naz is a clear head and shoulders number 1 for me.
Yeah.
Especially on DK where he's cheap. Then I'd go Bryant. Then you're throwing Eubanks and Biyombo in there?
Yeah. You're not concerned, Bryant, back half of a back-to-back, potential blowout, played 30-plus minutes last night. They're 10-point dogs. Bryant is coming back from a serious leg injury. They have other bigs. Like they're kind of they have Gabriel there. They have Jones there.
Yeah.
They actually have real backups for that spot amongst the other spots for them. That's like they have a plethora of backups, I suppose.
Yep. I mean, that's concerning, sure, but on DK is 4-2, right? 4-2, is that right? Yeah.
So 3-9, and there's no correct backup.
But I also think Ayton's going to play. So, I mean, worst case scenario, you can make that decision at the same time. I'm sure you guys have already been going through all this, but I mean, it's for sure Naz, and then I would be planning on Bryant, and then and it's not like we have him projected for a ton of minutes anyways, right? We have Bryant for 30 maybe. We have him at 30 on the dot. So
32, I think, unless it's changed.
I haven't refreshed in 30 minutes, so it was at 30. But I mean, great slate, right?
Yeah, I mean, it depends how you use the word great, but it's certainly an interesting one. And Yeah, I was thinking the same thing as far as Ayton playing. Like, I believe he practiced today, and it made sense. But my thought was that maybe they're going to counter and say, "Screw it." They're playing. This is the front half for Phoenix. They have a game tomorrow night versus Washington. Whatever, it's Washington. But like, maybe just give him an extra day because they don't need him. You know, if LeBron and Davis were playing, and it was the Lakers and not the Lakers, I think Ayton 100% plays. But now maybe push him back. And that's the only thought I'm throwing out there.
No, I think you might be right. And that's why, and again, like you're talking about with his practice or shoot around or whatever, I always take those with a grain of salt a little bit just because he was just there and like probably walked through for all we know. So participating in shoot around means he's in sweatpants and flip flops.
Does Valanciunas close tonight? I thought our projection was a little bit. I mean, not that we didn't know our center, obviously, but no Nance. He should benefit. I know when they close.
Man, I feel like this is like deja vu. I haven't looked at the last time Nance was out. I might do that in the next little bit. But like I swear, I was saying the same thing last time Nance was out, and they still didn't close with him.
They closed with like Daniels or something. I can't remember who it was. I remember what. It wasn't Hernan Gomez, right? Or it wasn't.
No,
Hayes. I don't think it was that. I think it would have been Zion at the 5.
They might have. I'd have to go digging.
Yeah, and again, it might be all for naught. But I was thinking like Lopez is a big boy, so maybe they would let him get 28, maybe 30.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
How much do we actually need it? Is the other part of that question. It's probably.
But I mean, like if he actually does get it and he finally closes and he plays like low 30s minutes, Joe Val will go for like 50. Like that's on the table and no one's going to play him.
If Collins puts up like 27, no more, no less. Zach Collins puts up 27 fantasy. No. Why do I keep saying this? I keep calling him Collins.
Keldon Johnson's out.
The big body. His entire body is not playing basketball.
Big body is out.
If Drew,
Dean, sorry for knocking down the door so early and barging in on your guys' party. By the way,
no, it's good. I think it's a good conversation.
I only let Andy in because I thought he was gonna contribute to our movie trivia, and he came in actually talking what we were supposed to talk about.
What movie trivia did I miss?
Some good ones. We can do a crossover one real quick as I bring in Kevin and Andre.
I'm screwed going up against Dean. There's no way anyone's beating Dean.
No, Dean sucks at this. He's not good. What is the first movie that had a curse word in it?
Oh, now that doesn't count.
That is a movie trivia. Of course it counts. And what is the first movie?
No sane person knows that.
The follow-up is, what is the first movie to use the F word in it by a major studio?
Don't know.
Did Charlie Chaplin have that written on a card?
No, we're not doing silent. Has to be spoken.
What's up,
Everyone
Rob?
give up?
The west.
You got a guess, Rob?
Yeah, east by southwest or whatever the hell that famous.
That's
movie
actually
is.
a great guess. That's a great guess, but it's not right.
Okay,
but excellent guess. It is Gone with the Wind.
Oh,
is the first movie to have a swear word in it.
Is damn count? Does that count? Franco Madeira, I don't give a damn. Is that
that is the first one? Yep, damn counts.
That's a debatable. Well, whatever.
And MASH was the first one to use the F word from a major studio in 1970.
Really?
Yeah.
Trivia. I enjoy this. Andy means he loves it. He loves it.
He does.
I love trivia. I do love trivia, actually. Maybe not so much on bunch of crap going on in the NBA, but I do love trivia.
Remember when there were no sports and we were doing like the trivia?
I remember it quite well. Yes.
You were good at that, Means. You were crushing.
Yeah, there was a Duke basketball trivia category. Of course, I was good at that.
That's true.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was fun. Myself and Tim, we're gonna step aside. We're gonna make way. You guys got 30 minutes for crunch time. Nice seeing you, Roth. Nice seeing you, Andre.
Does that mean I get to leave too with you guys?
That's your choice, man. I can't hold you.
Okay.
I mean, you put in a good 5 minutes. So I think you need a little more.
I'll stay. All right.
Roth, good to see you. Dre as well, but myself and Tim, we've gone over time. We got lineups to make. The start of the Fanduel sponsor crunch time. It starts now. It's Kevin Roth. Roth, take it away.
Let's do it. Appreciate it, Dino. As always, welcome to it, ladies and gents. It's the moment you were waiting for. It's crunch time. It is sponsored by Fanduel, and we are joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz. One, it is Mr. Andy Means, a.k.a. Meansy583.
Seriously.
Was I close?
Seriously.
I have no idea what your random numbers are after your name. What is it?
There's literally a picture right behind my head.
Oh, 5-3. It just means 5-3.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go. Thanks for
I got two. I was pretty close. I was impressed with myself. What's up, Means? How you doing?
Good. I had to barge in on the show earlier. I literally broke the virtual door down because I was pulling my hair out listening to them talk about game time decisions. I was like,
I saw that.
They're scaring everybody. So yeah. I wanted to get in.
But you are not scared about like D'Lo with the game.
I mean, of course there's a chance he could not play, but like nothing has changed. Like he was a game time decision like 8 hours ago, according to the coach. Like he just happened to say it to the press this time. Sure. Like I always trust injury reports until you hear like an actual noteworthy comment being made, like about how he's feeling or about, oh, we don't think he's going to be able to go tonight. Coaches love saying game time decision. In football too. I don't know why it's such a thing, but they just love saying that phrase. I don't know why.
Okay, that's fair. Well, looking forward to getting your thoughts on this slate. Also, I'm looking forward to getting my flowers for last time we met. It was Christian Wood night, and somebody was all about Christian Wood. There were like two centers, and I was like, screw that, I'm playing Christian Wood. That happened.
I was all over Wood that night. Go read the survey. I called it for a 50 ball that night. I almost said he was going to score more than Luka. He's like 2 points short.
How do I not remember this? All right.
Introduce Jersey before I have an argument with you already. Go ahead.
Okay, all right.
But we both love Christian Wood, so we're good. We're good. Go talk to Jersey.
All right. But now DK priced him up, and I'm really pissed about that because I thought I was going to.
And Luka's playing. Or no, wait. No. And who was out? Never mind. I thought someone was out.
Still out.
Yeah. No, yeah. You're good. Go ahead.
Hey, we got Dre as well. Dre, what's happening? This is my favorite hoodie that you have. Can you pull that up and rep for us? That's so dope. I absolutely love that.
Thank you.
What's happening, man?
Not much. Just trying to get my player pool together for fantasy again because there's all this news as well as getting sports bets in. But they obviously lock stuff up when this stuff happens. Gotta love FanDuel.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there is things happening. There's I guess Kelvin Big Body Johnson is out and means there's a ton to get through. So I think we got to quit the chit chatty BSing and kind of dive into it.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you want a snapshot of what to do tonight, just based on what Dre said, like getting this player pool already, just play like front court guys and point guards. Like it's like just overload great plays on both of those positions, which we'll get to. Obviously, we have to play some forwards, unfortunately, but we're going to talk through all this stuff. So the big news that just hit was Gobert's out. So Naz Reid is listed probable. So he did go out last night. He hurt his trapezius, played the first quarter, crushed in the first quarter, had like 16 DK points in his first shift, had shoulder tightness or whatever, didn't come in the rest of the night. So I was like, oh, he's not playing tonight. And then they list him probable. And then Gobert's out. So now it's Naz Reid night again. So
could you point to your trapezius for me?
It's this, right?
Yeah, your traps. That's right. It's like that. It's the lifting guys who are like are all okay. Thanks.
Yeah, can you see my bulging trapezius right now? Yeah. So you got Nas is a great play tonight. You have Thomas Bryant because AD's out, LeBron's out. You have Drew Eubanks because Nurk's out. There's possible more center value with Bismack Biyombo because Ayton's questionable and Jock Landale's already rolled out. So a ton of front court guys will go through it. But I do want to start at guard on FanDuel real quick, just because probably three of my favorite plays are at point guard. Luckily, one of them has shooting guard eligibility, and that's SGA. He's the most expensive of the three. I'm sorry. But CP3 and LaMelo Ball are 8-1, 8K. I think those are just really, really good cash game plays tonight. Ball has no Rozier. Couple other guys who've been out for a while. CP3 has no Booker, no Payne. Like both of those matter actually. Like Booker for obvious reasons. Like if he's not out there, CP3 has to do more. But if you look at the last two games that Cameron Payne hasn't played, these two most recent, CP3's minutes have been like in the 35, 36 range, I think, because he's like their other ball handler. Yeah. So he's the guy who spells CP3, and they just don't have anyone else they really trust there. So throw in the Booker absence, and there's a lot to like with CP3 tonight. Those three guys I love. De'Aaron Fox, I'm not going to talk anyone off that play either. If they think he's on the same level, he's probably a hair below for me, and I like Sabonis anyways. So those are all really, really good guard plays. Trey Jones, now that Keldon Johnson is out, you can throw his name in the mix too. Probably he's not going to make the cut for me just strictly because he's only point guard eligible, and I like those two 8K guys better. Let's look at just real quick any shooting guard. Oh, yeah, Landry Shamet, 3'9". No Booker, assuming Shamet's starting. I think he's a great option. Devin Vassell, now that Keldon Johnson's out, he's a good option. Damian Lee, 4'1". Yeah, that about does it. I really like the fact that SGA's there. Put him pretty much probably two of the three of SGA, Shamet, or Vassell. Mikal Bridges, I would add to the mix a little bit, but he's small forward eligible, and he's a little priced up on FanDuel, but still in play there. Some other small forwards really bad, actually, which is why I kind of said that at the top about point guard and center. So that's why I do like Mikal there. We got the news that Slow-Mo, and Boogie's right outside going to the bathroom right here. We got word that Slow-Mo got downgraded to questionable, which is worrisome. He would be an okay option if he plays. This OKC situation, they only have 10 guys, I think, but one of them's SGA. When SGA was out as of this morning, it was OKC overload because there would only be 9 of them. They're all cheap on FanDuel, and no SGA means everyone else gets to do stuff. But now SGA's playing, so you have Kenrich and those guys. I'm not even sure how to pronounce Eugene's last name. Omaruri. I don't want to butcher it, so I'll just say his first name, Eugene. If he's starting, he'd be okay. But you also have Dagnall just messes around with their rotations. He'll start a few guys for the game and then not start them in the second half. It doesn't matter what the game situation is. He just yanks minutes around if you're not SGA. So not a lot to like at small forward. One other name I'll mention is Harrison Barnes, who's 5,600. I think he's viable as a last piece, but small forward pretty much is probably where you want to be filling out last. Power forward, Domantas Sabonis, a really, really solid option at 9.2. Drew Eubanks at 4K. Now that Nurk's out, those two guys are, I don't want to say clearly the way to go, but that's pretty much what you should be looking at. And then other secondary options, Zach Collins on the cheap side, Torrey Craig on the cheap side. I already mentioned Slow-Mo. And then up top, if you for some reason don't want to play Sabonis, maybe someone like Pascal Siakam. And then center, it's a little more of a discussion on FanDuel and a tricky one because you only get to play one. I'm almost certainly going cheap here and using Sabonis at power forward. You can obviously use him at center if you want. It's between these this 5-6K range, and we'll see on DK. These guys are way cheaper on DK, which makes it pretty clear. But you have Naz Reid at 6K, Thomas Bryant at 5'8", Okongwu at 5'2". You have Joe Val at 5'4" with no Larry Nance. We were briefly talking about that on the show before. Throw his name in the mix, and then you have Eubanks, who you can use at center if you want. But again, I want to use him at power forward because center's so loaded. So I'm leaning Naz Reid here just because he played he was probably on pace last night. He played 11 minutes of the first quarter. Let's say he comes in at the 6-minute mark. That's he's probably on pace for 34 minutes. We have him at 33. I think he's the option, and that's all for me on FanDuel. We'll talk more about those guys on DK. So I'll pass back to you guys.
Why are there so many good plays at center? I'm doing my DK build, and I'm so frustrated. 5 dudes I want to play, and I can't.
Yeah, I told you. Fantasy draft.
Just annoying.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Dre, let's walk through some tournament thoughts here. I think Meansy did a good job of giving us, the right plays, but also it seems like there's a lot of them, honestly. So it feels like you maybe don't have to get too crazy. What's your game plan?
I'm just frustrated with the slate. I've never been more frustrated with a slate that I can remember. Tim Hardaway just got ruled out, and now Powell is ruled out. Game time decision. Those don't matter probably as much, but it's just a lot of injuries and a lot of changing, and for my bets, it's not good. But I think this is very simple. Like you said, very simple slate. This, I'm going to sit down and say this. Everyone's going to play Naz Reid, which is a fine place. 6K. He was on his way to smashing. I love the play today. I said you lock in Nas Reed. We have that little lock button. I always say this when something like this happens. You lock in Nas Reed, you lock in Drew Eubanks, and then you just build the rest of your lineups and let it build, and go from there. I really, really, really do like a guy like Devin Vassell a lot today, and Trey Jones. I think they are good tournament plays. That Vassell, sorry, and Trey Jones. I think they're excellent tournament plays that you can probably use today, definitely in your lineups. Let me see if how their ownership is on FanDuel right now. They're not that well. Trey Jones not that high on at 6'3", because everyone's probably going to go more stars and scrubs here. Going to go or probably overlook him and go to a guy like Chris Paul and LaMelo Ball, who are in good matchups today as well. And De'Aaron Fox on the other side. So I think Trey Jones is someone you could use to get a little bit different. His usage goes up a lot without Keldon Johnson in the lineup, and I can see him putting up a big game. I think last time he played against him, he had, I think, 23 points, if I'm correct. I don't remember correctly. Don't quote me on that, but you can look it up. I think if you do want to spend up, the first spend up option that I would go to today would be probably Shy, maybe Luka possibly, but I just don't know how close that game's going to be. But it would either be Shy or Luka. I'm skipping over Harden, skipping over Giannis. Well, actually, maybe not Giannis, but I'm definitely skipping over Harden and Embiid. I don't like them today in their matchups going against Toronto. Toronto just is a stingy defensive team no matter who they have out there on the court. I love the spot for Damian Lillard out there, especially with Shy now enrolled into play. So I think he's someone that we could possibly get to today. I like Sabonis today a lot as well. Donovan Mitchell is a weird play. I think they mentioned on the show before previously that he that it is a better spot for Garland, which it is. But Donovan Mitchell could easily be like could easily just take over this game. So that's something we have to consider. So if you're running 150, I definitely would be at least 10%, maybe 15% on him. I think that he's a fantastic play. Trae Young is a little bit of a downgrade just because we got DeJounte Murray coming back. I don't think he's going to be on a minutes limit either, so I think that helps a lot too. I also do like Kelly Oubre in this matchup too against Sacramento. He's going to be overlooked, especially Terry Rozier's ruled out. I'm correct, right? Terry got ruled out earlier today.
He's doubtful, so yeah, I would be shocked if he plays.
Yeah, I saw something that said probable before. I don't know where that came from, but I do like. I think you can definitely roster him, Kelly Oubre. I think he's a fantastic player. So is Dennis Schroeder. No one's really talking about him, and especially if LeBron gets ruled out, he's going to take all the shots as well as Russell Westbrook, and I think he's in play on both sides as well. So pretty much like everyone says, is this going to be a backloaded slate? I probably wouldn't really play anyone from these early games unless you like have a high conviction on some of them. I do kind of like this Atlanta game a little bit, just from the standpoint of getting a guy like Banchero, possibly, and maybe Bolo, but that's really about it. And also Cleveland, like with Darius Garland or Donovan Mitchell. It's pretty much like this one-sided stuff, and I don't mind. I don't think they said there's going to be a minutes limit either on OG Anunoby. At 7.5 on DK, on FanDuel, I know it's expensive, but I would definitely consider playing him for sure with the steals and blocks upside.
Okay, very good. I got a question. Any interest in Westbrook? He says no James or Davis.
LeBron hasn't been ruled out yet. So, but
no, LeBron's out. Yeah, he's out.
He got ruled out just now?
He got ruled out earlier today when they released their injury report. He's been out. But like Westbrook's price tag was strangely high. He's like 8K on FanDuel. Yeah, and like 7.3 on DK. So
I would definitely play LeBron. Westbrook is 8.3. I don't know. Not on FanDuel. He's a good tournament player on FanDuel. More of a better play on DK though, especially with the triple double.
Right. 7.3 on DK with the triple double bonus. Okay, very good. Let's talk about DK. Means there's so many Mavs that I want to play, and then I look at their price, like freaking Kemba Walker is is 6'7" because he had one game. Like, I don't know what to do. I need help.
Yeah, they're going to dust off Kemba when Luka rests, and he might not play that much otherwise. That's my guess is why they have him. Like,
He
they
went
can
from
keep his knees
3-1 to
right.
6,700. It just pisses me off.
It's weird that they do that on some players and not others, but
Yeah.
I'm not. This isn't the time to complain about that because we only have 13 minutes, and I have a lot more to say about that.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so if it's me on DK, I'm putting in Bryant and Reed in my center util and moving on to the guards and forwards. So similar situation on DK as at FanDuel. My three favorite guards are LaMelo, Chris Paul, and SGA. And Russ is kind of right there too. The tricky part here is you can only play two of those guys because if you're doing what I'm saying, and that's playing those two centers, because they're all point guard only, and that sucks. So I would probably play LaMelo as my first one and then kind of go from there. And again, that's not even a strong stance, the LaMelo one. Like those guys are all really good plays, and that's not even counting Fox in there. And then you have cheap stuff like Dennis Schroeder. He's 3'8", and he's only point guard eligible. So add his name to the mix. So yeah, not much else I need to talk about with point guard, just because that's a ton of guys, and you can only pick a few. So shooting guard, Landry Shamet and Damian Lee, two cheap Suns. Lonnie Walker, he's 4K. He's a cheap Laker. If you're spinning up, Jalen Green at 7K, Devin Vassell at 7-1. Yeah, that's about it. Small forward.
Like Shamet and Lee both also have small forward eligibility. Is that a worse position than shooting guard, or is it just shooting guard?
That's a good question.
Point guard's elite. Shooting guard.
Equally bad.
Okay.
There's one guy who's just small forward that I do like. That's a little more expensive. That's Mikal Bridges. Obviously, no Booker, no Payne. We already went through all that. But he's probably going to play 40 minutes if this game stays close, which is obviously no sure thing with the Lakers shorthanded. I do like him more on DK, where he's sub 7K. So he's a good spin there, especially if you're like going, let's say you do the two cheap centers, you do Shamet at shooting guard, and like you're gonna have a decent amount of money to spend. And there's no, like we talked about it last week too, there's no like above 10K guys that were like, oh, let's get that guy. It's like all that 7-8K range, maybe 9K. So like we're not really cramped for salary either. So you can put Mikal in at small forward, and then you're good. As far as anything else, I don't think there's really anything else that I didn't already mention at shooting guard. Maybe like Justice Winslow, but that seems a little thin for this slate. Yeah, let's go to power forward, where this is actually worse than the other ones. Trying to think of the best way to approach this. I don't have a preference on any of these guys, and a lot of what you do here will depend on what you do at shooting guard and small forward. So like up top, it would be Paolo Banchero at 7-7. Moving down, it would be Harrison Barnes at 5-5. Moving down from that, Poku at 4-3, Josh Okogie at 4-1, Wenyen Gabriel at 3-2. Maybe Omoruyi. I looked up his name while Dre was talking earlier for OKC. He's 3-3. I would rather play Poku if I'm picking a Thunder guy. I would try not to play anybody on the Thunder and Cash that's not named SGA, but I mean, they're cheap, so they're appealing. But the minutes are just so volatile. So I would try not to, but I get it if you want to. And then I think I mentioned Justice Winslow at small forward. He's 3-6. I would be filling this out last. And real quick, just let me mention the center situation. If you happen to not be playing those guys that I like, you can spend up for Sabonis. You can spend up for Ayton if he plays. You could go Drew Eubanks at 3-3, who, my God, just like phenomenal tournament play. Because if like people are going to be going cheap at center, but not with him. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, I'm going to get different. I'm going to spend up, and like no one's going to play Eubanks now or something. So maybe that's a thing. He could have 30. He could 10x his price tag, like not even breaking a sweat. So he's an option. We're getting close, so I've talked too much. Go ahead.
Okay, let's kick it to Dre here for some anything different here on DK.
DK priority pretty much everything's gonna be the same. I'm gonna put a high priority more towards Russell Westbrook for sure. Here in this spot. I'm just reading the lines of like that. Of that last game tonight, the Charlotte game. It kind of makes me a little bit worried to go with LaMelo with everyone being popular, but I think going with Russell gets you different. High priority wouldn't be with Shy. I like Markelle Fultz a little bit on here as well. I like Melton as well too in this spot a little bit as also. Other than that, everything else is going to be pretty much the same. I'm not going to, but honestly, I'm going to probably more so backload my lineups and not even play anyone in these first games or first hour until 8 o'clock and just wait till then.
Okay, fair enough. Guys, we've got 7 minutes left to figure out which of the great guys are playing at point guard and center and which of the shitty guys are playing everywhere else. And to take some questions in the meantime. So let's do it. Scrolling up a wee bit here. Get Her Done says, Drizzy, who was your lock button? And it was Naz Reid on FanDuel.
Naz Reid and Drew Eubanks.
Yep. Okay, very good. NBA DFS says, hey, what about Jaden McDaniels? I'll call this a means question. It's small forward on FanDuel, especially if Slow-Mo gets ruled out.
That's a good call, especially if Slow-Mo gets ruled out.
Yeah.
He was not popping up in my stuff if with Slow-Mo in. I'll be honest and say I haven't even had time to look with the Slow-Mo news to see what he would look like. But logically that makes a lot of sense. So I think that's a great idea.
He's a fantastic player, I think, regardless today.
Okay. Matt says if Slow-Mo and D'Lo are out, which to be clear, we're not anticipating D'Lo being out. Ant has to become a must play of SGA, right?
No.
Over SGA. Probably means over SGA would be my guess. Yeah.
No.
Is that accurate? Would you say if Slow-Mo and D'Lo are out, would you prefer Ant over SGA?
He's cheaper. Here's the thing though. He's cheaper and his positional eligibility is much more important because SGA is that loaded guard and Anthony Edwards is that crappy forward. On FanDuel, I think he's sub 9K, so I would say he's going to be pretty close. But that's if and again, we're talking about if a guy like D'Lo is out, but D'Lo is probable. So that's not even on my radar. To be honest, yeah.
That's fair. This is now on my radar. Anthony says, what are your thoughts on Joe Val on DK for 5,100? Is he just 5,100?
And no Nance. Yeah. I'll let Dre take that. I mean, I talked about it right before you guys hopped in the room that he could, if he closes, because Nance is usually the guy who closes for him.
Yeah.
And again, it's a big if because I don't think he did last time Nance was out. He could literally 10x his price tag.
Yes.
If he gets the minutes. So
he can
I'll let Dre
2020.
talk about it. Yeah.
I would love to play Joe Val. It's just the minutes, just what really concerns me, like everyone else has. If he plays like how he played the minutes he played last year, he would be probably a better player than one of these other centers. But he's not getting the same amount of minutes. So I can't put him as a priority because even when Nance was out, he didn't get the same amount of minutes.
Okay. All right. That's fair. And there are a ton of other good center plays, unfortunately or fortunately. Okay. FanDuel Cash means 3v3 for you. SGA, Kenrich Williams, and Bryant, or Ant Reed.
Who was the other one in between Ant and Reed?
Barnes.
I would do the second one.
Okay, very good. Who
I know
benefits?
you love Barnes.
God, I hate that freaking guy. What does he do after getting a max contract? What does he do?
Plays a lot. That's about
it. Who benefits with Grant being out means?
Did I not just see Grant's in?
Grant is playing. Yeah, Grant is in.
Yeah. Then never mind.
So
okay.
I don't have to answer that. Woohoo.
Okay, very good. DK Cash means Gabriel Paul or Westbrook Walker.
I would probably Gabriel projects well, but he also just out of nowhere is returning after not playing the last 7 games, which worries me. So I do the non-Gabriel one.
Okay, but Kemba at that price seems scary too. He's had one. He
Scary
played.
to play.
Say what?
scary to play.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
No, I thought he meant Lonnie Walker.
Oh, no. He just said Walker.
I mean, I assumed he meant Lonnie Walker.
He probably did. That makes more sense.
Yeah. I don't think we need to worry about. Yeah, we're not going to be worrying about Kimba unless Luka's out.
Okay. All right. Dallas, Texas says DKGPP, Markkanen or Wood at power forward. We got a homer question here. Means
That's GPP. That's Drizzy.
oh, that's true. Sorry. Dre, Markkanen or Wood?
Would.
Okay. Very good. 2v2 DK Cash means Ant, Gabriel, or Barnes and Bridges.
I would do the second one.
Very good. FanDuel Cash 2v2 means Kenrich Okaji or Shamet and McDaniels pending slow-mo news.
I still kind of like the Shamet one, McDaniels one anyways, and it's just upside if Slomo's out, which I gotta imagine it's turning that way. You get a questionable downgrade like an hour or two before your game.
Yeah. Okay. Jep says DKGPP, Rankum, Reed, Bryant, Eubanks, Biombo, parentheses if Ayton is ruled out. You said lock up Reed and Eubanks, right?
Yes,
Right?
Sorry.
Yeah. So those are the top two, and I don't think they need any more than that because that's all you can get. DK Cash means SGA and Mitchell to spend some salary or CP3 Harden.
Is there no way to get like SGA and CP3 in that? Because I feel like Harden's like right at the same price tag as SGA. So try to make that work.
Okay. All right. Two-piece question here. It's a long one. Means it says, do you feel Fox has a higher ceiling than Ball when you point spread? Since I couldn't get to Bridges or CP due to playing Fox and Trey Jones, you think landing on a guy like Okaji is fine at small forward to get a piece of Phoenix?
This is so frustrating.
So a couple questions. The Fox one, I don't really factor in the spread. If you're looking for the Fox ceiling, you're wanting him to play his full complement of minutes and the game's close. So like that's his ceiling. It just may not happen as much as usual. So I think that was back. LaMelo and the Hornets are the underdogs. So you want his ceiling. You obviously want the game to stay competitive, and he has a better ability to contribute in all of the stats than Fox does. So I do think he has a bigger ceiling. You just want the game to stay close. And I forget the Suns part of that question.
Okay. Is landing on a guy like Okaji at small forward okay to get a piece of Phoenix?
Yeah, I mean, it's not because you want to get a piece of Phoenix. It's just because the position sucks and he's one of the least worst ones.
Okay. All right, guys. We did hit the lock. Before you go anywhere, an important note, perhaps the most important thing you will hear all day as I stall to pull up my script so that we make sure we get paid. The most important thing that you've ever heard all day. Hey, sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. Take advantage of their bonus offer. It is exclusive to this week. No sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's new. That is good news. No sweat first bet up to $2,500. Terms and conditions apply. Only available through Christmas Day. So if you haven't done it yet, holy smokes.
Yeah. It's the Santa Barkley promo, I believe.
The Santa Barkley promo? I've missed this apparently.
Yeah, I just noticed that like right before we get on the show. I was like, Chuck's all over the app in a Santa hat. So
I got to figure out if I still haven't signed up for any of the sports books because I can't do it in Texas, but I could drive to Louisiana, sign up, get the promos.
Or you just wait until a Super Bowl party.
Are we having one?
Could do
I don't know. I hope so.
I hope so.
Yeah, hopefully. That's true. That would work for me.
Roth, I heard you were a game time decision for the next show.
I am a game time decision. So we'll see. I was probable all day long, and now I'm a game time decision. So everybody shit your pants.
I'm also a game time decision. I don't know about you, Andy. I know you love that moniker.
Every time I wake up, I'm a game time decision.
That's fair.
I'm a game time decision to get my content done, let alone show up for the show.
Andre, also a game time decision?
Oh, I'm always a game time decision.
Good.
See, everybody says it.
I am doubtful for what it's worth for the end of this week with the deep freeze coming to Houston.
You're doubtful.
Roth, I'm gonna be relying on my open DM conversation with Roth because we got a beast coming our way apparently on like Christmas Eve.
Yeah, it's going to be horrible. Like, we're going to have to
Yeah.
turn off the water in our house for 3 days.
Jeez.
Oh yeah, you guys don't know how to deal with it though. There,
Yeah.
that's the problem.
Yeah, it's going to be awful. So, hey, make sure that wherever you're at, you're ready because it's going to be cold. And I don't care where you are. That statement applies.
Even in Houston.
Yeah. So with that, I think we can bounce on out of here. Guys, hit that thumbs up. Give us that like. We deserve it. It's free content. Like it for us. Like it for FanDuel. Like it for the best content in the biz. For Means, for Dre, for our wonderful production team. In particular, Rob, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. We will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.